Our next speaker is, in my opinion, the Hollywood star of the school choice movement. He certainly is at the center of conversation when it has to do with protecting our First Amendment rights. Uh, Brad Dacus is the director of the Pacific Legal Institute. You may recognize him from television because he's got those good looks, also radio and podcasts. And his comments are always insightful, and we always look to him for advice. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Brad Dacus.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to be on this program. I appreciate it. I just want to just thank the past two speakers, John and Corey. You guys, I think, did a great job really articulating where we're at and why we need to change the status quo by far. Right now, as we look at the status quo, well, also I want to recognize something else. I looked through the people who were on this conversation, Zoom call. Saw a lot of names of people who just tell me this is a very high quality group. This is a good collection of people that I can see who are doers, who are thinkers, and are people who get things done. So I think this is a great coalition. I was very encouraged just by looking at that as we move forward. The Pacific Justice Institute, we have so many cases. We have over 50 cases in active litigation. A lot of our cases over the last 20 plus years have been suing public schools and defending parents' rights in public schools. Let me just go through as far as what I think where we're at now that I think it's very compelling for parents to step up in this regard. We have right now we have what's called the California Healthy Youth Act. Many of you are familiar with that, and other legislation which basically statutorily allows and mandates, not just allows, mandates a whole new radical LGBTQ sex education agenda all the way down to the kindergarten level. Now, there may be someone on this group here who thinks very progressively. That's fine. The context here, though, is the extent to which schools do not recognize the diversity and the and lack of sensitivity to the diversity of parents with differing views and different perspectives. And that lack of respect for that wide diversity of parents with differing perspectives, that intolerance and insensitivity, I think is going to be a drawing momentum of factors that come into play to push this forward. You're talking about kids down to the first grade, second grade level, having people come into the classroom espousing lifestyles and things that many parents simply just would not agree with. And this goes all the way up to the high school level. Some of you have used the term spiritual genocide as to that's how many parents see what's going on in public schools and what's prescribed for our children all the way from kindergarten all the way through high school in our government schools. And it's very, very serious. I like to say that parents can just simply opt out of all of it. They can't. We have opt-out forms that we make available in our free book that we can download, Reclaim Your School, on our website. But those opt-outs they don't solve the problem because it's only legally partially effective. It's not completely effective to protect the kids. So there's a real crisis here from just the social reengineering, much less the academic inequality that's taking place that was mentioned earlier. We have an interesting gold mine here. We have a heightened sensitivity to racial inequality. And I can see that easily being translated and interpreted to focus on the big elephant of inequality, which is public education. That is the big elephant of inequality. And unless that's addressed, we will not have equality of opportunity, period. We can have affirmative action till forever, but it's not going to work. None of it's going to work unless you have equality of opportunity in education. And I think our society is very sensitized to that. We also have a greater incentive for parents who want a school choice. In the height of the pandemic, over 40% of parents were either planning on homeschooling or leaning to homeschooling. in some other alternative capacity than from what the government schools were offering. So they're sensitized. The soil's already been tilled, if you will, with seeing school choice and the value of it as something that they personally can consider moving forward. We have the charter school clampdown. I'll never forget the parents wanting to pull their kids and put them in charter schools. And then Governor Gavin Newsom said, oh no, no more new kids can enroll in charter schools, period. So it was a very clear attempt to maintain control and to squelch school choice even more. Just yesterday, I saw parents on the street corners in our community at an intersection with signs saying, let our kids play sports. They were angry. Massive parents, let our kids play sports. So this, once again, has a lot, this frustration can be translated. And then we have what's happening on a federal level, which I think is real important to notice. And that's what President Biden has done with executive orders. He's orchestrated an executive order which commands all government schools, public schools that receive any federal funds, which is almost all of them, that they have to allow teenage boys to go into girls' locker rooms at the same time the girls are changing. The boy can strip off his clothes and be naked as he wishes in front of the teenage girls who are getting out of the shower. Now, mind you, in all fairness, these are boys presumably who have gender identity dysphoria. It's a real mental condition. The overwhelming majority of these boys are still sexually turned on by girls, even if they have that mental condition, for the record. So, and it happens conversely, girls and boys. So it's a real breach of fundamental human privacy and dignity that is now invaded in our public schools. Okay, that make this even a greater challenge and a greater incentive for parents to look and support alternatives. We also have the trans sports crises. I just talked to someone after church. She works for a state legislator. They're looking for answers and solutions to how do we, from coaches across the state, saying how do we protect our kids? You know, how do we keep the boy from coming and joining the girls' team, or have to boot off a girl from a sports athletic team, or for example, a boy being able to compete in girls wrestling because of his gender identity dysphoria. These are real issues that are giving greater distrust for the status quo and the establishment. Now, so what are some action items to do? First off, I will say we need to be supportive of our private schools like never before. I know we at Pacific Justice Institute have empowered through free legal representation and counsel to enable many of them to open up much earlier than they would have dreamed. And that's been a joy to be able to do that. We want them to be strong. We want them to be empowered. We don't want them weakened, which I know the teachers union would love to see the private schools shut down for good. There's also efforts to put on a university level, but I think also will be a possible at a private school level, mandates to require non-discrimination of employees who are violating the moral and religious beliefs of those private religious institutions. And this is a serious threat that we can see playing out that we're going to be dealing with as well. Also empowering churches themselves to start opening up alternatives through what's called church homeschool co-ops. That's something that we at Pacific Justice Institute, it's a campaign we started about a year ago before the pandemic had even really taken off. We weren't even thinking in that regards, but we've allowed a number of churches to start homeschool co-ops in their church with parents working together to enable other kids whose both parents work, for example, to be able to have their child participate at the church in this cooperative of parents working together and to enable that to happen. The greater we give opportunity for kids to be out of public schools, the greater there is for incentive for parents to have school choice. And they don't see public schools as being all that critical or all that necessary, given their track record. We at Pacific Justice have been big supporters of the rights for evangelism in public school, with our, for example, with the book we wrote. But right now, basically where we are is to enable and empower as many kids to be saved as possible. As many to be saved as possible. School choice on a national scale allows that to become a reality. We have a video film, which I think will be very helpful to everyone listening, to get this out, to give an incentive for parents to save the kids, to have school choice. And it's a film product on our website called Sex Ed, SEXXX Ed, Let Parents Decide. And it goes through this whole new radical leftist campaign, social campaign that is going to victimize millions of children. And so I think that this is an opportunity. We also have an opportunity, I think, also as far as political cycles go and voter turnout. If we do get this on the ballot in the off-year election, from the people who are the party that's not in the White House usually does better and has better voter turnout. And then also, I think in 2024, I think personally, I won't get into all details for sake of time, but I think it could be another 1980, like a Reagan Revolution kind of an election. I think that the precept of it is already building, and I can give a whole talk on that. But I think that the time is right. If we have school choice, we can save America because we can save our children on a massive scale, and reverse the trend lines and so many which are heading in so many bad directions in terms of not just academically, but also socially, morally, philosophically, et cetera. This, in the end, could be the hour that we are able to save America. New justice on the courts have been fantastic. The Supreme Court is the most pro-life, most pro-religious freedom, pro-parental rights Supreme Court probably in decades, probably at least in my lifetime. And yet on the longer term is education. If we can bring about school choice, and if we can do it in California, it will resonate across the country. And if we do, this is a major, mega game changer, and it can happen. We have this, as was stated, the support in the minority communities, traditional Democrat base, in the African-American communities, Latino communities. We can make a difference. We at Pacific Justice Institute are willing to use our legal resources to assist without charge. And we're also willing to push this out on all our media, including our radio show. Half our radio shows on over 500 stations. The Legal Edge is on almost 800 stations Monday through Friday. Hischannel.com, we have a program where we'll be pushing this out continually on a regular basis as it picks up steam. And we'll do everything that we can to see this to become a reality. I love the way it's written. It's well thought out. It's a collaborative effort, and it's a pleasure and privilege for Pacific Justice Institute to be assisting at this time. And it's, anyway, I appreciate that very much. I'm going to have to leave at 4:30 because I've got another engagement. I'm going to be addressing a group at that time. So hopefully we'll be done by, hopefully we'll have Q&A by then, or if not, contact me at any time. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you, Brad. Thank you. Thank you for your insights, and thank you for your generous offer for help with spreading the word. You have certainly gone over and beyond anything we could possibly hope for and expect. So blessings on you and your mission. And I know this is a spiritual action for you as it is for many of us. So thank you once again.
You're welcome.